Alright, I'm Charlie. I'm going to talk to you guys about avalanches today. The reason I wanted to talk to you guys about avalanches is mainly because of where we're located. I think this is probably one of the best colleges in America as far as access goes to the backcountry in the winter. So if I could just get a show of hands, does anyone in here do any backcountry recreation in the winter? Skiing, snowmobiling, mountaineering, so we got like 4 of you. Now, have you taken any classes on avalanches? Do you know really anything about it? I know you talked to me earlier. So have you taken like a level 1?
Yeah, I just took the basic course I had at MSU.
Oh, okay. And then what about you, Coleman?
I've observed them online.
So I just wanted to give you guys, 10 minutes isn't a lot of time, but just kind of a basic understanding of avalanches and why they're dangerous, and people die from them every year, and we've already had 23. Let's see, I have it here. 23 U.S. fatalities so far in 2014, which is like 4 months now, and then 5 in Montana alone. So I hope that doesn't happen to you guys. And as far as my research, I looked at a number of websites, which included the Forest Service National Avalanche Center, the Missoula Avalanche Center's website, and there's one other, the Colorado Avalanche Information Center. And then I had a Missoulian newspaper article, couldn't find it, but I read it. I wanted to bring it to read something about it. But then I also had this book here, which I would recommend to all of you. It's Bruce Tremper, who runs the Salt Lake Avalanche Center, which is a big deal, and he wrote this book. It's just full of really good... Oh, there's that article. There we go. Right, so this is the one other thing. Oh, so yeah, this was out of Missoulian just this last weekend. So, okay.
That was sincere, wasn't it?
And then, so I'm just going to go over these 4 main points. So what is an avalanche? How do they happen? Why are they dangerous? And then if I have time, just a little bit of safety. I've got my equipment here, so I'll just kind of quickly talk about that at the end. So, let's see, the remote isn't working, so I'm going to have to stand over here a little bit.
Plug it in? Plug in the USB?
No. How do I do that?
Find a USB port, stick it in. Did you find the little half?
Yeah.
There you go.
Where does it go then?
Or and if you're with, yeah, actually you can stick it in right there. There you go. Should, and then the bottom
Nice.
switches.
Sweet.
All right.
Okay, so this here is, some of you guys might recognize this. This happened in Missoula about a month or so ago. It was actually like 500 yards from my house in Missoula. My parents helped clean stuff up there, and it was, you can see it, the avalanche literally tore the house off its foundation and tipped it like upside down. There was 1 fatality in that, and 2 others were seriously injured.
That made national news.
Yeah. So that was a big deal. So I'm going to start just talking about what is an avalanche. So the basic definition is just kind of it's massive snow moving down the slope. And there's a lot of different types. I'm mainly going to focus on, let's see if we can get closer to this. So you can see here there's a lot of different types. There's even more than that, but I'm just going to talk about dry slab avalanches. Those are the most dangerous. Most of the fatalities in the U.S. happen from those. And what, oh, I keep going wrong way, sorry. Okay, so dry slab avalanche is, it's a cohesive plate that slides as a unit, and then Bruce Tremper in that book describes this plate just shatters like glass, and then basically the entire mountain looks like a river. So I've got a little video here of what that looks like if you were the skier. So you can see that plate go, and then basically he's just in a river of snow. And he is very lucky to be alive, because he was alone. Oh.
That's incredible.
the way those slabs form is like each storm throughout the winter kind of deposits a layer of snow, you know, usually about 5 inches or so. And then whatever weather happens before the next one comes kind of affects that layer of snow in a different way. So let's say you get a big dump and then it's nice and sunny out. That snow is going to get really wet and then it's going to freeze and form kind of a crust. And then, like if it's really cold, you get these frost layers, which are called surface hoar. And then one other, say it's really windy, the wind will move the snow, and then it deposits it in these dense wind slabs that are really dangerous, especially in the bridges because we have that wind kind of always coming in from the west, and then it deposits snow from the west side onto the east side, which is where most of us ski. And those wind slabs are really dangerous. That's how a lot of these dry slab avalanches happen. And then, so this is just kind of a diagram. So this is the weak layer here, and what that is a layer like, say, some frost builds up, so then you've got like an air pocket, and it's not holding all the snow together. It kind of allows this slab on top to slide across. And so the way you can kind of tell, like what I do when I'm at the top of a mountain thinking about skiing is I have my shovel here, which extends to this long. It's still pretty small, but it's nice because it fits in your backpack. And so what this guy's doing is digging a pit, and that allows you to, you can kind of see each layer. So you dig down about 3 feet usually, and then you have this nice flat column, and you can kind of do all these different tests, which I don't really have time to go through, but you can kind of test each individual layer. And that gives you an idea of whether or not there's a weak layer with a big dangerous slab on top of it or not. And you can, one test that I always do is we dig a big pit, and then we've got all these layers, you know, and then somebody will go up on top of it and kind of jump on it to see if it gives, because if there's a slab, it'll kind of break out as like a big brick. So, and that's kind of just a definition of the slab. So it's just when there's a strong layer on top of a weak layer. And then, so just a couple examples of how you can have a weak layer. So weak layers just kind of break up that cohesion of the snow, because the avalanche has to, it's kind of a balance of forces between the force dragging the snow down the hill, which is just gravity, and then what's holding it in place. And so if you have a layer of like this is called faceted snow, and it's kind of these big icy crystals that are almost like sand, and it just breaks apart really easily, as you can imagine. And so that's, you really got to watch out for that. And then one other common thing is if you have some snow sitting out and it's really cold for a long time, you'll get these frost buildups, and this is surface hoar. And so then when more snow falls on top of that, you almost have like an air pocket in there, and it's really weak, and so that's the way a lot of these slides happen. And I was in Yellowstone, I think it was about 2 months ago, and I was cross-country skiing along, and I heard this whoomph, which is kind of the snow just settling, and I could see this big crack, like just probably like 20 yards to my left. And then I kind of dug down just to like look at the layers, and there was literally a layer like probably this thick of this stuff under a big wet slab of like 2 feet of snow. And so then I was talking to my mom, and I was just like, every time there's avalanche conditions that are that bad, you can just about guarantee somebody's in one. And then, so that weekend, my cousin dug his friend out 2 feet under. He had gotten in a big slab avalanche over by, it was kind of by Big Sky. So that's just, those are 2 examples of kind of the weak layers. And so what happens when you get caught in an avalanche? 25% of victims in the U.S. die from trauma, which is just hitting things like trees and rocks. And this video is kind of an example of that.
He doesn't die, does he?
He actually does.
No baby.
Jesus.
So you can see him hit that rock and that pole right there, right as the avalanche picks up speed. And so that's just an example of trauma-related fatalities. And then the other thing you always hear about is getting buried. And so the one thing that I wanted to talk about is how, you know how you always hear people talk about the snow just turning into cement? And I kind of didn't understand how that happens. But if you think about this being like a, like 1,000-foot drop here. So the avalanche breaks up here. And then, we've all made snowballs or like a big snowman or something and kind of compress the snow. And you can make it pretty hard. And so just think about the compression of, like, let's say there's a big slab. This is like 50 feet of snow. It probably weighs like, multiple tons. And then just think about that falling all the way down here, and then it stops like in seconds. And so that compression is what makes the snow just turn into cement. And the avalanche debris is about 60 to 70% air, so you would think you'd be able to breathe. But what actually happens is your exhaled carbon dioxide is what kills you. So they make these new things that you put like they're called an Avalanche. And so you have a hose in your mouth, and then there's a thing that goes out the back of your backpack, and then that makes it so that you deposit that carbon dioxide below you. What is that?
Curly, I need you to go to that conclusion if you will, please.
So I didn't have time to go through my equipment too much, but
I just said that to make Coleman feel good.
Okay, one other thing I wanted to talk about just is that we all have so much better access to the backcountry now because of the changes in equipment. So this